Okay, so just coming into a comfortable position just to begin with here. So you might like to close the eyes or hold a soft gaze. And bringing your attention into the body. Having a sense of the body just as it is. Seeing if we can allow ourselves to be just as we are in this moment, whatever that may mean. Having a sense of your body posture. Having a sense of your breathing. Having a sense of the mental activity, your emotional world. So we're going to work with this element of balancing. I think somewhere I've mentioned before, for me, shifting from the word balanced to balancing with a sense of honoring this sort of constant shifting, constant change, and that the body is trying to achieve this sense of homeostasis, a sense of balance. But for me, it always feels like there's a constant sense of balancing. Do we ever truly find true balance? Maybe, maybe not, but I get this balancing just allows for this gentle shifting, these subtle movements that occur depending on our internal experience and our external experience, and all the things that can happen to create shifts and change. So we're going to use a little bit of movement here, just very gentle movement. But as always, it's optional. And I think even just following what we're doing, so you can bring as big or as little movement into this. And in some ways, for some of us, it can be simply energetic. So just finding what works for you in this moment. So to begin with here, the invitation is to bring your attention down to your feet. And we're going to feel into how balanced our feet feel on the ground. So we can do this very subtly, or we could bring a little bit more movement in, which would just require gentle sort of pressing one foot into the ground and then the other. Just to feel the pressure increase in one foot and then the other, and switching between the two. So as I say, it may be that you bring a little bit more body movement into this, just to really press down. You might emphasize that by just pressing the hands on each knee or leg. And so we're bringing this sense of movement in. So we can exaggerate the movement to begin with, if that feels okay. And then gradually we start to lessen the movement as we start to find this sort of evenness as the feet are balancing. And eventually coming to a gentle point of stillness, feeling into the feet, feeling into the toes. So all through this time, we're just allowing the body to make any subtle shifts, to find that sense of balancing. And then bringing your attention into your legs. And checking in with the legs here. Do they feel even? Is the pressure on the underneath of the legs even? And then bringing your attention into your seat. And for some of us, depending on what we're seated upon, you might be able to feel the sits bones, the kind of bony part of the bottom. Either way, whatever you can feel, just feeling into whether that feels central or even. You might notice, have I got more weight in the left side or the right side? And again, if you want to exaggerate the movement just for a moment, and you might shift the body over to the left and then to the right, and just feeling the pressure increase in the left buttock and then the right buttock. And once you can really feel each one, starting to slow the movement down, starting to come into this sort of center, this balanced place where the weight on each buttock feels fairly even. And then sitting tall in the upper body. So if you can be self-supporting here, then great, but not to worry. If not, if you need to be supported by the chair or the cushion, then that's great too. So I've tried this. You can do it in either position as we just explore this sense of centering the upper body. So imagining this line inside of you, reaching from the crown of the head down to the tail or the bottom. And again, we can play with the movement here. So if we're moving side to side, so here, this time we want to sort of keep the bottom fairly even, but just sort of tipping slightly left to right. And just imagining the center line. And again, as we start to make the movement smaller, this gentle shifting between left and right. Finally, we come into this sort of center line. And then we can also explore this front and back. So gently leaning forward, gently leaning back. So again, doing as big or little movement as you'd like to here. To just accentuate it. Also being careful not to make yourself dizzy or have any kind of motion sickness. So it's important, especially if the eyes are closed. But we can then make the movement very subtle. And we can probably feel ourselves moving across the center line. And then it becomes very subtle until we come into that center point. So just pausing here in stillness. So last exploration here is we're going to bring a little twist in. So again, just imagine twisting from this center line. We can twist to the left and then to the right. And you can sort of exaggerate that for a short while. And it's quite interesting. I can feel myself pass through the center point each time I twist. So seeing if that's true for you. And then again, just slowing down the movement. Until finally you come once again into that center line. And then you can just experiment here, little side to side, little front to back, little twist. Just keeping that center line. So just exploring here, and whenever you're ready, coming into that stillness. And then lastly, just feeling into or bringing your attention up to the head and neck. So just remembering the neck is still part of the spine. So just remembering this lengthening in the spine. Imagine we're kind of creating space between each vertebrae as we do. Sometimes it might be helpful just to tuck the chin in ever so slightly, just to feel that line in the back of the neck, that stretch. Coming back to remembering the center line, coming from the bottom all the way up to the crown of the head. And at any time you can check in with this center line. And I know we often notice this more when we're doing a standing meditation, but I think even here, seated with this center line, we might be able to feel these very subtle movements of the body as it tries to remain balanced. So again, we come back to this sense the body's always in this frame of balancing. Because even with each breath, we bring in another movement. Our attention wanes, it can change the movement. Or our attention gets focused on something internal, external. It can change that balancing. So from here, just softening in the face, softening the jaw, softening the shoulders, softening the arms, hands and fingers. And then seeing if you can have a sense of the whole body and having a sense of the whole body breathing. And seeing if we can notice or have a sense of that even within the stillness in the body, there's subtle movement. A continual balancing within our body systems. And as we've mentioned before, this balancing in the body is so healing for all the body systems, and including the mind. Even if the mind is taking some time to catch up with the body, that's fine. We're still benefiting just by being here in this position. So I'd just like to bring in another element here. And that's partly the breath. So we can have a sense of our respiratory system. Our breathing is always balancing the amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the body to make sure that we have enough and releasing what we don't need. But what we can also do is bring in this sense of our emotions. So whatever's present for you, emotion-wise, seeing if you can use the breath to breathe through it, to have a sense of recognizing, allowing it as you breathe in, and then releasing it and letting it go on the breath out. And you can do this with thoughts as well. So anything within your mental activity, any emotion, breathing it in and letting it go, releasing it on the out breath. And perhaps just for the last few moments here, letting go of any doing or activity, and just allowing yourself to rest here, just with the knowledge, understanding of this body balancing and breath balancing. So, however this practice has been for you, there's been a soothing, a calm, a peacefulness, a nurturing, a balancing. It's just to know that you can return to this place at any time. A place where you can recharge, reset yourself, take a break, begin again. Change, shift how you feel. And it's within your power to do so. So becoming aware of your whole body, becoming aware of your whole body breathing. And we'll notice the breath for a breath in and a breath out. And we'll bring this practice to a close. And so taking your time as we shift from the practice back to the space that we're in. Perhaps bringing some gentle movement to the body. Opening the eyes when you feel ready. Okay, so thank you for your practice.